for his story.
Thank you, Brooks. Welcome everybody today to this Sunday morning service at Salt Lake Christian Church. The story that I will be telling this morning is about the song, Jesus Loves Me. This song was published in the year 1860, and it was written by a woman named Anna Warner. Anna was born in New York City, where she was raised, and for the young part of her life, her childhood, she lived in a pretty well-off, well-to-do apartment, condo kind of, in New York City with her family. And it wasn't until the panic, the financial panic of 1836, her wealthy lawyer father ended up losing most of his wealth, and he had to move his family to an old, he had to move his family to an old wartime house on Constitution Island. This island is in the Hudson River, across from West Point. And here, Anna and her sister lived for pretty much the rest of their lives. During this time, to try to help bring in some extra money to the house, Anna and her sister began writing poems, and they eventually moved up from poems to books, to novels, and they had pretty good success in this. They ended up publishing 106 novels between the two of them, and 18 of those were joint authored by both Anna and her sister. One of these joint books that they wrote together, was titled Say and Seal. In this book, it is about a young boy who is unfortunately dying, and there's a scene in this book where this young boy's Sunday school teacher tries to comfort him, and he picks him up and kind of rocks him back and forth and sings, "Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so." And this is the first time that the lyrics to the song Jesus Loves Me were ever written. This is where the lyrics come from. And so this book ended up becoming a great success, a bestseller. It was second only to Uncle Tom's Cabin, which I'm sure you have heard of for the time. And a renowned hymn writer, William Bradbury, read this novel, and in this scene, it really touched him. And he ended up composing the music to the song that we know, Jesus Loves Me. And he added, I think, a couple verses to it. And this hymn would go on to become the most famous children's hymn in the world. However, despite Anna and her sister's success, they continued living the rest of their lives in poverty. They never kind of climbed out of this hole that they were thrown into during the financial panic. But despite this, Anna and her sister were devout Christians. They served God for over 40 years. They held Bible studies at their house for the cadets of West Point. And upon their deaths, they were buried with full military honors in the West Point Military Cemetery. And to this day, they're the only citizens that are buried in that cemetery. One account we have from one of Anna's friends, she says at one time when she was visiting Anna pulled out a small seashell that was beautiful, to the point that it almost looked like it was handcrafted. And she, with tears in her eyes, remembered a point in her life when she was struggling with many bills racking up, with not knowing where their next meal was going to come from. And someone sent her this little shell in the mail, this beautiful little shell. And when she opened it, she had this realization wash over her that if God can make such a beautiful home for such a tiny little sea creature, he would take care of her too. And so we see that she was quite a devout Christian in her service to the cadets at West Point as well as in her novels. And she lives on in the song, Jesus Loves Me. So thank you. Let's bring these up.